everyone, and welcome to this edition to TR's Take. I've already shared my thoughts on giving, and today we have Tom Schneider. He's the Eckerd's Associate Vice President for Development, and we want to hear his thoughts on the same topic. How you doing, Tom?
Good. How you doing, Tom?
I'm doing very good. Thanks for being with us.
Well, thank you for asking.
We're going to jump right in.
Yeah, great.
What makes someone give?
You know, Tom, there's a lot of reasons why one would want to give. It might be the neighbor's child asking to give to the elementary school or buy some candy. It might be what you give when you go outside the Publix and put something in, the kettle. But, I think for the basic reason why anyone gives is because they want to make a difference. It's something they believe in. And I think for most people who want to give, it's that belief in that organization and knowing that their gift is going to make a difference because of their support. So deep down, I think it's always about making a difference.
All right, that's great. Now, monetarily, when we think about giving and we think about our capital campaign, we think about monetarily. But how do other people give?
Yeah, I always say, some people say, well, I can't make a gift. And let me just say this, I'm going to answer your question, but I think everyone can always make a gift. We're located here at the James Center, and there's a Starbucks coffee shop over here. And, every day someone probably buys a $5 cup of coffee. Yeah. So, if you just can give up a cup of coffee and give that $5 to an organization, I do believe everyone can make a gift. But besides that, here at Eckerd, you can, we're talking about athletics, so one could go to a basketball game or to a soccer game or to a women's volleyball game. The support, cheering on helps the team. Number two is if they know of an athlete or if they know of a student scholar, someone who's from their church, someone who lives down the street, someone from their high school, recommending that student to at least look at Eckerd, talk about Eckerd, makes a huge difference. I think also another way to make a difference is if you're in a position to either offer an internship or job, hiring from the Eckerd family, you pretty much know what you're going to get. You're going to get someone who can think outside the box, who can communicate, and so if you have that ability or to influence someone of that ability, you can always contact the Career Services office. And then, I think there's always simple ways of helping be supportive or engaged with the college, and that's attending an event, whether it's an athletic event or not, whether it's an event in their town. The neat thing about what's happened, Tom, is what we're doing now, the Zoom a year and a half ago was something we really rarely talked about, and now you can be in other parts of the world and still be engaged with the college and talk to someone or being, at a Zoom event, even though we've gotten kind of grown tired of it. But
for sure.
But they're available, and so there's lots of ways.
Well, and you talked about the amount, and that's something that I kind of touched on, and we try to touch with our athletes, keeping them engaged during their time here, so when they get out, they give something that first year, and it kind of builds on it. Talk about the difference in the amounts here at Eckerd versus a big university. Like what you said, the amount doesn't matter, but talk about the difference.
Well, I've heard President Fernandez say many times, and even President Eastman before him, and Tom, I've even heard you say this, every gift makes a difference, and it really does. One might think, well, what does my $50 do? It's not going to make the huge impact, but let's just say, for example, a $50 gift, if you had a $1,000 endowment with the athletic department, that would be $50 that one would be given each year from the draw, 5% draw. So a gift of $50, let's just say, is like giving a draw of a $1,000 endowment. So it does make a difference. A lot of ways to make a smaller gift is, and the way we can do it at Eckerd and other organizations, you can actually give, monthly. Yeah. And you can set it up. So let's just say you give $5 a month or $10 a month. That becomes $120 in a year. And usually after the first 1 or 2 or 3 months, you don't even realize that we're taken from that. So in other schools and other organizations, They might have much higher levels, but I think the basic principle is a gift at Eckerd College, a smaller gift, makes a heck of a lot more difference than, let's just say, a larger university which has maybe a larger sports program or whatever. So every gift does make a difference. And the other thing, Tom, is many college, many like Newsweek, they have the best colleges in the United States. And one of the ways they measure alumni participation, whether it's the right way or wrong way, is by percentage of people who give to that college. Also, foundations will make gifts based on one's alumni participation. So every gift makes a difference, and it's a cliche, I know, but it's a true one.
Well, a cliche I said the other day when I was talking on this topic was, strength in numbers, and we talk about how many alumni we have in the that played sports here, and you talk about basketball because that was what I played, and however many hundred you have that graduated, if each one was giving $100 or each one was given $1,000, how that adds up. I just saw recently that Emory-Riddle, their men's soccer program started an alumni scholarship. So all their alumni are giving towards this scholarship. So they have an extra scholarship each year just from the alumni of the men's soccer team. So it kind of was an eye-opener for me. And I'm like, well, that's a really good idea. And I think alumni would get behind something like that. So the whole idea of what you're saying is strength in numbers and every little bit counts. It all adds up.
Right. Clemson was famous for their athletic department, as you may know, the 100 Club that Clemson used to have. They had back in the 70s or 80s, maybe even earlier than that, but they started 100, what they called the Tiger 100 Club. And if you gave $100, then you got a sticker, basically, and you're part of the 100 Club. And the goal was to try to get 10,000 people to give $100, which they surpassed that goal. And now the 100 Club is no longer $100. I think it's become $1,000, believe it or not. But anyway, the spirit there is that every gift can make a difference, and when many give, it becomes much stronger.
Yeah, and that sounds similar to our Teal and Steel. We have the $1,000 leadership gifts, and we have about 113 giving $1,000 or more, and we're hoping at some point in the next 3 to 5 years that's 250. Yeah. And then obviously that grows, and like you said, as our college grows and gets older, their capacity to give grows as well. And I think you were talking to me the other day, and we're such a young college, so we can actually look back in our whole history and see who started things before us. And you talked about standing on someone's shoulders, and how we can look back. I can look back at Coach Harley and what he started, and now what I'm trying to build on, and what the next people are going to try to build on. So you talk about that a little bit. You brought that point up to me yesterday, and it was pretty interesting.
Yeah, building on the shoulders or the foundations of those who started. Yeah. I think the importance of here at Eckerd, you can many of the people know those individuals that started the foundation here, and either they're still living, or they have pictures of them, or have stories of them, and so they're only adding to that legacy, and of course they're building their own legacy by the way they support the college, university, or those who get involved. So it's one person steps on, builds on top of the next person, and builds on top of the next person. The spirit is still there, the ideals are still there. The ways that we do it may change a little bit, but obviously the spirit of the institution, of the athletic program, is still very much. I'm sure Harley's coaching techniques, or at least his enthusiasm, is still very prevalent here at Eckerd. I know it is.
That's great. The next thing I wanted you to talk about is how do we cultivate relationships with our community here in St. Petersburg to get them to see what we're doing here and start to be givers?
I think you really start with the basics, and the basics is who is your audience? Who is the group that you're trying to get engaged or involved with? So obviously with the athletic department, we're talking about former athletes. We're talking about those that might live in the St. Petersburg community that like some particular sports and attend the events. You're also talking about those parents of athletes, or former parents of athletes. I know many of the Aspect members are involved with with so who's your audience, and then you focus on that audience with a message or a communication of how they can be involved and how they can be engaged. In this case, we're saying athletic department. And so communicating to them, much like we're doing with your TR Takes, is a wonderful way of communicating how they can be involved. And then more importantly, then if we're asking for money, it's the ask after you start communicating. And the ask could come from you, or could come from a volunteer, could get someone from the athletic office, a coach, a player. It could come from a letter that they receive from you, or email. However the way they give, usually it's a direct ask. Most people, very rare people that will make a gift just out of the blue, unless there's something that makes them want to do that. But most it's an ask. And then, of course, the most important part is the stewardship, or the cultivation. Continuing to we talked about at the very beginning, why do people make a gift? It's because they want to make a difference. So, continue to say how that gift is used and how that makes a difference, and how they can be engaged with the college. That's the stewardship and cultivation process. And really, it's just another cycle again of continuing to identify your audience and communicate and asking.
You talked about, people who want to make a difference and what they care about, what's close to their heart. Is there a way that you figured that out? I mean, in athletics, I know when we have alumni graduate, we know that they like this sport or that sport, or they like the athletic department, or they're connected to it. But like when you're talking to people in the community, is there a way you figure that out? There's all kinds of ways to obviously figure out how one feels about one cause. And what I like I used to work at a large university. I used to work at University of Memphis, and to show my age, it was actually Memphis State. So that's over 30-something years ago. But when you work at a small private liberal arts college, you're not a number here. And I can tell in the athletic department, the coaches care for their athletes, and they love their athletes, and it's reciprocal as far as the athletes itself. And I think the principles that you have here, which is a student athlete and focusing on the academic side and then the athletic side, is important. And so it's those stories that you hear, passionate stories that you hear, whether it be through something they wrote on their blog site or on their Facebook page, or something we send out. We get a lot of messages back and say how passionate. You show them a picture of a sunset and they'll speak passionately about that. Well, obviously that's something that's important to them. We go back to what we said. They want to make a difference, and it's something that they believe in. And I think you start with the stories. And really, it's fundraising. The only thing we do have really is the stories just to tell about. And it's listening to the stories, finding out what they say, and then hopefully tapping in, maybe the wrong word, tapping in, but talking to the individual about becoming engaged with the school. Well, I think we'd all agree this was a crazy year, but you guys in the advancement office and Billy Evers in our office have done a great job of keeping people engaged, and we're coming down the home stretch here right now, and I read your blogs all the time on where we are. How has this year gone fundraising wise? We've
done quite well. Our annual fund is up, but any annual fund person will tell you they don't sleep well until the actual final gift is in, until the goal is met. So we're about $400,000 off or away from our goal, and we have about 2.5 weeks. And any gift to the Triton Club and to athletics will make a difference, and will count, particularly if it's an athletic annual scholarship or the MTM tournament. But it's and I say, you talk about you guys, it's all of us, really. It's every donor that makes the difference. I go back to every gift makes a difference. So we're just the catalyst to helping help us reach that goal. But it's everyone helping us reach that goal.
Appreciate all your help over the years, and you guys have done a great job. And for someone who wasn't born a Triton, you're pretty darn close to a Triton blood. So,
well, I'm pretty close to it, and I'm happy to tell you this week my parents, who my dad is 96, my mom's 94, they just celebrated their 70th wedding anniversary, and they're Triton supporters.
They have been.
So yes, so it's they're not Tritons, but they are Tritons.
They are Tritons.
My dad wears his Triton shirts. He has like 3 or 4 he wears proudly up in Dayton, Ohio. But it's there's the old adage of Woody Hayes used to say it all the time. He certainly didn't start the phrase, but he certainly believed in the phrase, and I think it's important. You have to pay it forward. A lot of times you can't pay it backwards. You can't pay the coach that helped you. You can't pay it back to the institution that helped you, the college that helped you, but you can pay it forward. And
that's great.
That's, I think, what's key in life. And one of the things we talked about is why it's important to give. Yeah. It's a small gift. There's studies that found that it makes you a happier person, and there's even been studies that says you live longer. So if you want to be a happy person, you want to live longer, I say make a gift.
Well, I really appreciate all your help, and thank you for being with us here today. Thanks for joining us today from Tom Schneider and myself. Thank you for all your support this year. We'll see you again soon, and go Tritons.